Hey guys, welcome back to Builds by Maz. Today I'll show you how to hang drywall so you can take your unfinished space from this to this. This video will show you how to do everything by yourself, so anybody can do it, even if this is your very first time. Let's get started. If you're new to this channel, I recently made a couple of videos showing how to fully frame and wire electrical for an unfinished room. You can find those videos on my channel if you need them, but now I'll move on to step 3, which is hanging the drywall. So for this project, I used 4x8 sheets of drywall. You can also get 12-foot sheets, but they're more difficult to work with, especially when you're by yourself, and I just couldn't fit them in my basement. Drywall also has two main thicknesses. You have 1/2 inch here, and then you also have 5/8 inch. Which is more expensive and much heavier, but sometimes it's required for fire code purposes in places like your garage, so be sure to check your local building codes. You may also want 5/8 inch on your ceiling to help prevent sagging, especially if you have wide joist spacing like 24 inches apart. Now if you're working by yourself, you're also going to want a drywall lift. I got this for about $160 on Amazon, and it made the ceiling way easier. And one more thing, if you're installing lighting, make sure you measure and mark down their location before you hang the ceiling drywall. So it's best practice to hang your drywall perpendicular to the joists, so it spans across more of them. So I'm going to start here on the left side and measure out to the joist that's closest to 8 feet, so that the end of this drywall board will end right in the middle of the joist. And this will depend entirely on your joist spacing, but I got my measurement here and then transferred it to a drywall board. Then, using a T-square to keep your line straight, you can cut through the drywall with a sharp razor blade. You only need to cut through the first paper layer, and then you can just snap the board and it'll break along your cut line. You then need to cut through the brown paper layer on the back side. Most drywall lifts will have brakes on the wheels that you can engage when you're loading the drywall so it doesn't roll away. You can then load the drywall panel onto the front support hooks, making sure the brown side is facing you. You can then lower this whole assembly so the drywall is horizontal and then lock it in place. Now since I cut this drywall, it's not going all the way past this extender arm, so I need to bring this in a bit, otherwise I won't be able to push the board all the way against the wall. Also make sure to fold down these hooks for the same reason. You can then crank up the lift until your drywall board is in position on the ceiling. You can then use a long level or 2x4 or anything like this to make sure the drywall is fully pushed against both walls. So there are two main sizes of drywall screws. This one on the left is for 1/2 inch thick drywall, and this one on the right is for 5/8 inch drywall. And it's important to use the right size so you get enough holding power without going too deep that you risk puncturing electrical wires. The next thing you'll want is a drywall drill bit like this. It just attaches to the end of your drill, and it makes it really easy to get consistent screw depth so you're not puncturing the drywall paper. You could also buy a dedicated drywall screw gun, but this is a much cheaper option which still works great. You want the screw head to be just below the surface of the board, without the paper tearing, and here's a good close-up view. You should be able to run a drywall knife cleanly over the screw heads, so this one here isn't deep enough. If that happens, just drill it a little bit deeper until it's at the right depth. So with that covered, we can start securing this first drywall board. I like to add a few screws around the edges and a couple in the middle before lowering the drywall lift. And one thing I should have mentioned, I can still see these joist locations, but if you won't be able to once your drywall's up, then it's a good idea to mark them on the wall's edge so you know where to line up your screws. Another helpful tip is to make marks all along your board that correspond with your joist spacing. Then you can draw vertical lines so you know exactly where to put your screws so you don't miss any joists. With the drywall lift out of the way, we can add all the remaining screws. On each joist, you're going to want to have 5 screws, 1 on either end, 1 in the middle, and then 2 more between the middle and the edges. So that's for all the joists along the inside of the drywall panel. On the edges, I like to use an additional screw just for extra support. So basically this first end has 6, all these joists in the middle have 5 screws each, and then this far end also has 6. Here I mark the location of where my ceiling light needs to go. There's a screw right next to it, so I need to remove that. I then used a 6-inch hole saw to make a cutout so I could install my recessed light. This is one of the reasons I start with ceilings, so you can add lighting as you go to help improve visibility for the rest of the room. I then added another screw next to the light to replace the one I removed. Here's another reason I like doing ceilings first. You can see this little gap on the upper edge here, but that'll be totally covered once we install drywall along the walls. Plus, this will add us extra support for the edges of the ceiling boards. With this piece done, we can move on to the one next to it, but we're going to have to cut a notch out of this one to fit around the angles of the room. I cut this piece so it would reach the far end of the room, and I just want to reiterate that you only need to cut through the very surface level of this drywall. Then you can easily snap it and cut the back paper. I then marked off where I needed to do my extra cutout. For cuts like these, you can use a jab saw like this. They're pretty cheap and come in really handy. Start off by plunging it through the drywall board, and then you can just saw down your cut line. I then did the same thing in the other direction, and using this method, you can pretty much cut out any shape you need. I then got this piece lifted into place. And then it's basically the same process. Just put up enough screws so that it can hold the weight of the drywall board, then lower the lift, and put in all the rest of the screws needed. So when you do your second row, you don't want the seams of the drywall to be lined up with the row before it. You want it to be staggered somewhere else. So this time I'm going to start on the right side of the room. And if you're working on a bigger room, you can put a piece right in the middle so that it perfectly splits the seam from the row before it, and then just add pieces on either side. So once again, I measured from the edge of the ceiling and cut the board down to fit on the center of the joist closest to 8 feet. One issue though is that when I install this board, it's going to cover up this HVAC duct opening. So I'll show you how to work around that. So that opening is right here, and it actually protrudes down from the joist, so you can see the drywall can't sit flush against the ceiling. So what I'm going to do is add a few screws down on this side, but leave this side empty for now. So in most cases, you'll want to measure out and mark your drywall beforehand, but since this is right on the edge, I'm just going to freehand a mark right here. Unfortunately, I messed up recording when I was cutting this hole out, but I used the drywall cutout tool, and it's the same process you would use when cutting out a hole for an outlet, and I'll get into this in more detail later on in the video. So with this hole made, I can now fully press the drywall up against the ceiling joist. So I can now use screws on this side and fully secure the whole board in place. Also remember, your cut around this vent doesn't have to be perfect because the register has a border that will cover up any imperfections. When you get to the last row of your ceiling, you may not have room for a full drywall panel, so you'll have to cut it lengthwise. What I do is make a few marks along the board and then connect them all with a straight line. Then I just carefully cut along my line using the razor blade. There's a faster way to do this by holding the tape measure along the top and scoring the board at the same time, but this gives me better, more consistent results. Sometimes it's a little awkward to hold the board this way, and you may need to cut through the back paper through the front. But from there, you just install it like any other ceiling piece. If you have to do any soffits like this, it's a good time to use small drywall pieces that you may have cut down earlier. When doing smaller pieces like this, just use your best judgment about how many screws to use, and I try to keep them about every 8 to 12 inches. Now let's look at adding drywall to the walls. If your stud spacing is 16 inches on center, then a helpful tip is you can just look at these red marks on a tape measure. So if you're pre-marking your stud locations on your drywall, Just mark off every red number. Another easy option is to get your drywall lined up in place on the floor. Then you can take your T-square and match it up with each of the studs and just draw your lines based off of that. Before lifting this into place, I like to pre-drill 4 screws towards the middle so that I can easily drill them in and they'll support the weight of the board. And for the top row, I keep the screws closer towards the bottom so that I can reach them. You'll then want to lift the drywall board up and push it so that it's snug against the ceiling and to the side against the wall next to you. And if you're not using a tool belt, make sure to keep your drill within arm's reach. You can then secure the pre-drilled screws, which should be enough to hold the board on their own. And remember, the end of your drywall needs to end halfway on a stud, so that the next piece can also use this stud. For these wall pieces, I use 5 screws per stud, including on the ends. Now as you can see on this board, my spacing between the screws wasn't very even, and I have some larger gaps than I would like. That's no big deal, you can always go back and add a few additional screws. So you're looking for a snug edge like this between the wall and ceiling panel, but it doesn't always work out like that. And sometimes you have gaps like this, whether it's because of the framing or the drywall. But that's okay, and I'll show you how to fill it when we do tape and mud in my next video. Now anytime you're covering up something like this that you'll want to get to later on, you'll want to add an access panel. So be sure to measure its location beforehand. Now that I have the drywall in place, I'm going to use those same measurements and mark off where I'm going to cut my hole. Here's a simple access panel I'll be using, and you want to cut your drywall so that this fits snugly into it. I put it in the proper location and then just traced around the edges. Then I used my jab saw to cut it out. Make sure not to cut too deeply depending on what you have behind this, so you don't puncture any water or electrical lines. So when this gets installed permanently, you can add caulk around the edge so it stays fixed to the wall. But right now I'm just doing a quick test fit. To install this second row of drywall, it's basically the same process, but this time I pre-drilled the screws towards the top because I could more easily reach them. Now if your last row is reaching the ground, you can use one of these drywall kickers to help you out. It's basically a foot lift and it'll push the board up into the row above it, leaving just a small gap at the bottom. The next thing we'll cover is how to install a drywall board when it's going over an outlet box like this. There are a couple ways to do this, and the first option is to measure out where that is and transfer those measurements to your pre-cut drywall sheet. So you're basically measuring to either edge and to the top and bottom of this box, and then transferring those measurements to the drywall. Then you can draw an outline for the box and cut it out with a jab saw. This is a budget-friendly option, but it does take more time and you need to be really accurate with your measurements. Then when you install this board, the hole should fit right over the box. Because we've already pre-cut the hole, this whole piece of drywall can sit flush against the wall and we can add our screws just like normal. Now option 2 is going to be faster. You just need to measure to the center of the outlet box and then make a little mark on your drywall board. So this is to the middle of the box and I don't need to mark off the edges. Then double check that any wiring in the box is pushed all the way to the back so it's out of the way. So this drywall is going straight over the electric box. There's no pre-cut hole or anything, but we're just going to add these few screws at the top for now. So if you look on the side here, you'll see this space between the drywall and the stud, and that's because the outlet box is sticking out. So to make the hole, I'm going to use this drywall cutout tool. Set the bit depth so that it's just a little bit longer than your drywall thickness. Then we'll plunge it into the middle of the outlet box. Work it to the side until you feel it hitting the edge of the box. Then we'll take it out and jump it to the outer edge of the box. You can then trace along the outside of the box, working in a counterclockwise direction, maintaining contact between the cutout bit and the outside of the box. This is an easy way to make a perfect cutout with minimal measuring, but this tool does cost about $60. But with this cutout made, the board can push all the way against the wall and you can add all your screws. Now you usually want to finish your drywall about a ½ inch above the subfloor. You don't want it to be touching the ground. But because I have to do these floating walls in Colorado and I have this gap here, I'm just going to take my drywall down to about right here. But either way, don't worry about the gap because it'll be covered by the baseboard. So I just ended up having to install this skinny row along the bottom. Then you're really just repeating these same steps for each wall. And once you get the hang of things, you can get a whole wall finished really quickly. The last thing I'll cover is how to install drywall around a window. One tip is to try to have your joints end above or below the window. That minimizes the length of the joint, so it's less taping and mudding than if you had the joint over on this side. Rather than measuring and pre-cutting this panel, it's easier to just install it in place as a full piece. Then we can just cut out the window using that same cutout tool. But since we're working on the inside this time, we're going to take it in a clockwise direction. It's an easy and fast way to get a perfect cutout that's right in line with your window frame. I did the same thing for the lower piece here. Then we can do these drywall returns for the inside portion of the window. If you have a fully wood frame, you can just use screws, but in my basement windows, I have this metal frame here so I can't screw into it. I honestly don't know if this is correct, but I just used heavy-duty liquid nails there. I applied a generous bead along the edge of the frame, pushed my drywall piece into place, and then used standard screws where I had wood framing. This worked out fine for me, but again, I'm really not sure if this is the best way, so if anybody knows of a better way to do this, please let me know down in the comments. And I didn't add any drywall to the bottom here because I'll be making a wooden windowsill. But that marks the end of this instructional, and I hope it's helped you learn how to hang your own drywall. And be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video where I'll show you how to tape and mud this room to get it ready for paint. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.